You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Welcome into a Week 6 Giants Hangout brought to you by Crestron. My name is Madelyn Burke, joined by Russ Salzberg and the Super Bowl champ Howard Cross. Guys, coming off an incredible win on the road in Week 5. This has got to be some positive momentum for this Giants team, Russ.
Positive. To me, it's overloaded with positivities. I mean, you go on the road. You have your star rookie receiver not going. You have your running back Devin Singletary not playing, and you're going into arguably the toughest place for a road team to be. And they go and take care of business. And after when it started with that 100-yard return, I actually said to myself, and I don't do things like that, my goodness, is this team cursed? But what impressed me, they didn't blink. The Giants came right back. I thought Daniel has been masterful ever since game 1. He's gotten better, and better with each week. What can you say about it? It was a coming out party for Tyrone Tracy. Listen, as Howard's old coach, Bill Parcells, used to say, let's not put him in Canton just yet. But he ran with, there's an expression, maybe I used it before here in boxing. When you hit somebody, you have to hit with bad intentions. And to me, Tyrone Tracy ran with bad intentions. I mean, he ran hard, he ran fast, he ran swift. There was just so many good things. Eric Gray with the screen passes to him. We got to see Theo Johnson, which I'm sure Howard likes seeing that. It was just a much improved, and I think it was a tremendous confidence builder. I think.
And you mentioned too the way that this game started, and Howard, I feel like we've talked about this as well. It's similar to the Browns game in that in Seattle, that opening drive resulting in a touchdown for the other team. You think, oh no, this isn't going to go well. And just the Giants showing the resilience of that locker room to be able to overcome a tough start and get the win, Howard.
I think it was a tough start with the return, but you have to realize, when you think about it, think about this. They drove down the field and they kind of put it to them the entire way. The Seahawks were on their heels the whole time. They were like, holy smokes, what's going on here? They were running the ball. They were hitting quick passes. Because neighbors weren't in the game, other players started to step up and get, kind of reintroduced to Daniel Jones. You had Slayton catching balls. You had, you had the tight end catching balls. It all works together that way. When one guy is down or the guy you're always looking at, it changed the flow of the game. And they basically were sitting there going like, okay, they're hitting us from all angles. We don't know what to do. So when they returned the ball all the way down the field and scored a touchdown, I'm like, well, they go right back at him again. And they went right back at him again and got right back in their face. And they just couldn't, they had no answer for the Giants.
And the Giants offense looking effective, like you said, being able to drive down the field multiple times, missing their top 2 playmakers. Malik Neighbors out with a concussion, Devin Singletary out with a groin injury. Russ, you talked about it. Tyrone Tracy, the rookie, getting his first start, had 129 yards rushing in a decisive, effective rushing attack. When you look at a Giants team that, early on in the season had its offensive struggles, being able to put together this offensive performance without its top 2 offensive weapons was an incredible one. But we got to mention the defense. The defense put pressure on the quarterback, 7 sacks on Geno Smith, Dexter Lawrence with 3 of them. Russ, when you look at the way the defense was able to dial up that attack and put pressure on Seattle, an offense that really airs it out, Geno Smith, the top passing quarterback in the NFL, that was really effective too in helping get this win.
Well, you talk about Dexter Lawrence, and we've heard coaches say so many times to us with the Giants covering the Giants, a guy that big is not supposed to be that athletic. And while we all knew Howard, while we all knew how good Dexter is, I didn't know he was this good. Maybe that sounds silly, but we are really seeing a star. I don't want to say being born, but his star keeps rising and rising. He gets better week in and week out.
I think he gets better week in and week out. And I think, you have to, don't take anything away from back to the offense for a second. The offensive line kind of dominated the game, which made the defense play even better. I was watching from the sideline when the offensive line was coming out the field. The defensive line was going out to meet them halfway to like, hey, great job, guys. So now you're watching a defense that's playing against a Seattle team that's desperate every time they get on the field because, we watched Seattle play Detroit the weekend before, and all of a sudden they were scoring like 40 points. Like, man, this is going to be a crazy game. And the defense kind of shut them down because they were desperate every time they got on the field because the offense held the ball for like 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you get on the field, we have to score. And Dexter and those guys like shut them down quickly. Thibodeau was playing great. Burns was playing great. You got Banks out there on the edge. He was playing awesome against one of the top receivers in the league. Like, they did a good job all around.
Well, and Dexter Lawrence also pivotal in that special teams play. That was the final play of the game. Of course, Michael Gabriel had drawn that play up. Daves had said after the game, hey, I want to use it. And he said, hold on, not yet, not yet. They found themselves in the right position. Dexter Lawrence out there kind of drawing the attention, creating the vacuum for Isaiah Simmons to be able to, first of all, not lost the Cam Chancellor in Seattle right there too, jumping over the line, something that Cam Chancellor had been known for as well with the Seahawks. And getting that special teams play to really secure the win. That's a huge moment for this team too.
Yeah, they did something that kind of unconventional, but they did it. Like, Dexter's in a position, and basically the line blocks leaning forward. Dexter just pulled him down. When he pulls down, you can step over them. You don't really have to jump over him. He jumped right through the little gap that it creates and blocks the kick. That's probably one of the most genius things I've ever seen, and more teams are going to try to do it. There'll be a rule against it pretty soon.
Howard, you mentioned before, and kudos to give credit to the offensive line. There's something to be said. They went out, and when you sign free agents, as we all know, it does not always work out. No. They went out and signed Runyon. They went out and signed Illuminor. They went out and signed Van Roten. I mean, those three guys, along with Andrew Thomas, that's a veteran offensive line. And last week, I don't know if it's just the beginning as we're talking, but last week was something special. They were, they're cohesive. It's a tight unit. They're firing, using that cliche, firing on all cylinders, both in pass pro and run blocking.
Are you a morning person? Or when you roll out of bed, do you literally roll out of bed? Listen, mornings can be hard to handle. From the moment you open your eyes, your responsibilities and to-dos start piling up in your head. But you know what helps? Yep, a shower. But not just any shower, a shower with Irish Spring. Yeah, as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. Oh, yeah. All those to-dos are totally doable. Because that crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from that glorious shower, 37 minutes later, because let's be honest, you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want. You're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Look for Irish Spring in the soap aisle at Walmart.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. I mean, it's going to be tough for teams. If you're not healthy up front, playing against the Giants with that offensive line, they're going to get after you a lot. And you're going to see more and more big runs. You're going to see with Daniel having time, and Daniel becomes a threat, running the ball, throwing the ball. It makes a whole lot of problems because the offensive line is all over you, and you're trying to get around them to see, like, okay, who's got the ball? Where are they going? Is he really throwing it? It's going to be a problem for guys as the year goes on.
Tyrone Tracy made a good comment, when everybody was slapping him on the back for a job well done, and was certainly very well done. He credited the offensive line, and he said you could see in the eyes of the defensive players they were being worn down. And that's what they say, you win in the trenches, and them being worn down is a direct result of the play of the offensive line.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, and it doesn't hurt too that opening drive, Giants march down the field, take 10 minutes, turn it over on the goal line. Defense runs it back 102 yards, and then the defense right back on the field for Seattle as the Giants offense is back out there. So, you spend 20 minutes straight on the field in either position group, you're getting a little worn down as well.
It's a lot harder for the defensive guys when they do a big drive like that. They can't stop them. They're getting winded. You always hear like, "Hey, the offense comes on the field. They got to get us a couple first downs so the defense can get their win." When you return it 100 yards and you go back out there, you didn't get any win, so it's a little rough on you.
Right. Well, and also too, run games, we've talked about this. A lot of us have mentioned this, and I think Sean O'Hara mentions this a lot as well, is that it's like one of those things you chip away, and then finally it breaks loose. And so when you've got a defense that you're wearing down early on in the game and you're chipping away, get open, right?
Yeah, it's hard for a defense, believe it or not, when they're wrestling with you and then they have to like try to wrestle the back down. When they're pass rushing, they're trying to run by you. Everybody goes, "Oh, the pass rush is so hard." No, it's the run game because you're wrestling with the guy. You're trying to get the guy off of you to reach over to try to get your hand on the back. And if you don't get your hand on the back, the guy's probably driving you into the ground. It's exhausting. It's a big fight, and you don't want that part of your game. That's why defenses like to play from ahead where they can rush the passer. It's easier for them when they're fighting, tooth and nail in the run game. It's hard on them. You can see even with our team. You watch our guys when somebody's running on them a lot. They start putting their hands on their hips. They're pulling on their shoulder pads, trying to get some air. It's tough.
Madelyn, we'd be remiss if we didn't take advantage of the fact that we have a big old tight end sitting with us, and we didn't ask him about the play of a young tight end, Theo Johnson, this past weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did it. I did the report before the game. I said, I'm filing a missing persons report for Theo Johnson because I don't know where he is. We got to get him involved in the game, and all of a sudden he starts catching balls. It was like very funny because we were watching like, oh, I guess we found him. So, I think, around the league, the tight end position has been down a little bit. Now, I think that's because maybe receivers came into the league this past year, and I think quarterbacks are focused on getting the ball to these guys because these guys are super explosive. They're way down the field. Some of them can catch it at 5 yards, take it to the house. So the tight end play has been down. Our great receiver, not that we don't have great receivers, but our great, all of a sudden Theo and everybody got a chance to get in the game. I hope that this is an open door to get more opportunities for these guys when Malik comes back, and there are more targets, so it'll be harder for just to cover Malik, but you have to cover everybody.
Yeah, I don't have any inside information here, nor do any of us. But I would, based upon not so much what we've got to see, but based upon what Brian Dable and the rest of the coaching staff got to see, you know what they got to see? They got to see something to give themselves a trust. Yeah, this young man can play. Yeah, that young man can play. So maybe now we can use more weapons than we thought we had going in. And listen, some of the criticism or questions about Malik getting so many targets. You got your number one pick, 6th overall. He's a super talent. We want to see what he can do. He is a great offensive weapon. They can.
Yeah, it's gonna make Malik's job a lot easier when he's playing also, because all of a sudden you're not gonna be hedged over, sliding over to cover him when you think, okay, well, Slayton caught a lot of balls last week. Okay, is the tight end really open? Like you'll start looking around trying to make sure other guys are in the right position, and they can't cover, double cover, slide the coverage that way because other guys will get. And if they do, you just throw it to the other guys.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have depth at some of these positions, like the Giants have shown that they do so far. And coming off a win in Seattle, that flight back is a long flight, and it feels a lot better with a W in that one. And especially going into a primetime game on Sunday Night Football, because turning the page, we got Week 6 at MetLife Stadium, Sunday Night Football. The Bengals coming to town, and your Bengals are coming into this one 1-4. Struggling record-wise, but not struggling on the field. I mean, last week they lost to the Ravens in overtime. Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdown passes. Burrow has had 12 touchdown passes on the season. That's the second most in the NFL. So they're not getting drubbed. They are losing a lot of close games in these situations. This is a formidable offense coming into MetLife Stadium. The Giants are on a high coming off a great win. But when you look at the way that these two teams match up, playing in prime time at home, with the, 100 season celebrations continuing and the pageantry and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on around this game. Howard, when you look at this matchup, what are your first thoughts?
My first thoughts is kind of play like you played in Seattle, kind of run the ball, do short passes, keep the ball as long as you can, squeeze all the air out of the ball. The more time you have with the ball, the less chance that you give that quarterback, that offense, all those receivers, all that. You keep them on the sideline, let them watch the game as long as you possibly can. Joe Burrow's a great guy. He enjoys a good football game. Let him watch one for a while, and that's the way that you get a chance to beat these guys. If you go out there and start slinging it around and letting them sling it around, it could be a long night, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will happen. And that 1-4 record, Howard, you know it as well as I do. This Cincinnati Bengals team, I won't say historically, but for the past few years, for whatever reason, they start slow. They've had slow starts for the past few years. So let's not look at when I say let's not look at 1-4, because some fans might say, well, this team, they're ready to be had.
Yeah.
They're going to come in very ornery. They're at the 1-4. They know that they're a lot better than 1-4. So let's do something about it. But I agree with you, Howard. Let's not get caught and let's come in like guns blazing, like this is old Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, and shot for shot. Let's just go and take care of business methodically as they did last week, and then see what happens.
Yeah, Cincinnati's defense is struggling a lot, stopping everybody. So that's where I would say, let's get out there, have a good running game. Let's, keep some short passes, move the ball down the field slowly, get it in the end zone when you get to the red area. Let get the ball back. Always, every time they get the ball, they have so little time on the clock. That's the way you beat teams like this.
Yeah, well, and there are still questions remaining about Malik Neighbors' availability. Of course, he didn't travel to Seattle last week dealing with that concussion. We'll monitor his status throughout the week to see, if he does clear concussion protocol and if he can play. But if he can play, there's two pretty significant LSU wide receivers on the field in Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors, each top 3 in yards per game this season, both top 6 picks in the NFL draft, and both, some pretty incredible weapons for their team. Howard, when you're playing in a game with, somebody else who's, maybe an Alabama guy, and that you guys both have that same impact or whatever, is there a little extra something?
Oh, always. You play against your teammates that you spent so much time with, you lived in dorms with back when they used to have athletic dorms. You have a kinship, and you want to show them, hey, check it out. Look where I am. I see you over there. You see me, and you see your folks if you're at home, or their folks when they're at their home, and they come over and they're hugging them and everything. And you're talking to each other. It's a lot of fun to compete against your friends.
Yeah.
But isn't it true, Howard, during the game, you got to be careful not to get caught up in that, like I'm going to show you, you're going to show me. Of course, there's a competitive nature to every player, especially a great player. That's what makes them so great. But, it's not a personal fight with 2 guys. It's 11 and against 11. And that's the most important thing. As Dave says, it takes 11 guys to win. It doesn't take one. It doesn't take 2. It takes 11.
If you do your job really good, Russ, it looks like it's one you're fighting against the other guy.
Right. That's true. Well, and also too, the Giants coming into this one looking for their first win of the season at home.
Mm-hmm.
MetLife, Giants fans at MetLife haven't yet seen a win. And, doing that in this stage on Sunday Night Football would be a big moment for this Giants team. When you've seen, the way that this team has played on the road, the success that they've had on the road, is there something to that, or is that a little bit of coincidence?
It's been a little bit of a coincidence. You think about they lost to Minnesota, really good team. They turned out to be a lot better than everyone thought. I think with Washington, they lost to down in Washington, but it's one of those things where they were road warriors the year they went to the Super Bowl the first time, I think in 2007. That was their big claim to fame. They started winning games on the road, and they had a hard time winning games at home. And I don't really care where they win the games, as long as they win enough games to try to get themselves in the playoffs, get themselves in the right position. But home games sometimes are hard to win. And I don't know why for this team. It's been that way for a while. I think in primetime games have been especially hard to win. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, Will Dayball would call the game where it's like, okay, we're going to try to grind it out, and can the defense hold up against a team with such explosive players on the outside? You know, they got like two really good tight end, I mean, and two really good receivers, a good tight end. The running back's good, the quarterback's phenomenal. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. You know, prime time team that's desperate. They're very explosive.
You just mentioned Dable calling the game. We haven't really touched on that. This is his first season, when it was first season calling the games with the Giants. And you could sense, certainly coming off this past week, Howard, there's a cohesiveness. Everything seems to be getting smoother and smoother, a little more creative each week. Now he knows, as we've been talking about, now he'll have a trust with more weapons.
We're sitting here all last year and we talked about over and over again, 4 flat tires. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't do anything. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't do anything. Poor Daniel Jones got hurt again. The offensive line. Now he has an offensive line. He looks like a really good quarterback. But before that, he was running for his life, or not even running for his life, getting hit in the second step or a 3-step drop. It just changes the way a quarterback plays. With protection, Daniel is more than just a quarterback. He's going back to the Danny Dimes days. That's what he started out as. So let's see if we can get him Danny Dimes the entire year and get some more dimes down the field.
Yeah. Keep him safe, keep him upright, and that protection, like you said, games won and lost in the trenches.
Are you a morning person? Or when you roll out of bed, do you literally roll out of bed? Listen, mornings can be hard to handle. From the moment you open your eyes, your responsibilities and to-dos start piling up in your head. But you know what helps? Yep, a shower. But not just any shower, a shower with Irish Spring. Yeah, as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. Oh, yeah. All those to-dos are totally doable. Because that crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from that glorious shower, 37 minutes later, because let's be honest, you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want. You're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Look for Irish Spring in the soap aisle at Walmart.
Speaking of the trenches, some flowers to the defense. Giants defense.
Isn't that crazy?
One of 2 teams with 20 or more sacks on the season. The other team that has 20 or more sacks so far this year, the 5-0 Vikings. Mm-hmm. And the defense also has allowed only 1 rushing touchdown this season, which is the fewest, tied for the fewest in the league with Minnesota and Pittsburgh. So the defense has been really incredible. And I know that we spend a lot of time because the offense is such, topic and talking point, but the defense has really been so pivotal for this Giants team in these wins, getting pressure on the quarterback, stifling the run game, and especially that red zone defense. And so we'll see if that can continue against a really, really high-flying Bengals offense coming in on MetLife Stadium. But when you look at this one, final thoughts, final keys to Sunday Night Football. Russ, where's your focus?
Hey, what you just mentioned, and Howard was talking about, complementary football. If the offense, for example, what was their first drive, even when it was taken away, with the fumble and went back the other way, it was like a 10-minute drive. In the first half of last week's game, I think the first quarter, it was possession 12-15 for the Giants, 2:45. For your opponent, think about that. So if you're dominating the ball, offense is doing that, well, then when the defense comes on, they're fired up, ready to go. And they're also rested. Again, Howard, you use the phrase all the time, complementary football. It's not a cliche, it's a reality.
I think, for the game, what's going to be really big is the rookies. I think the rookies on defense, because we have a lot of great players, young players on defense. They're going to have to show up big, make plays. There's going to be probably some blitzing going on, trying to get after Joe Burrow. The safeties, everybody's going to be really in tight defensively, but offensively, squeeze the air out of the ball, man. Just squeeze the air out of it if you can. That's the only way they have a chance in games like this with such an explosive offense.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the play of the DBs last week in Seattle. I mean, these guys were flying around and getting a lot of pressure on an offense in Seattle that is the #1 passing offense in the league. So if they can continue to put pressure on, these receivers and really stifle those, I think that this will be a competitive game on Sunday Night Football, and it'll be a lot of fun. And of course, Giants are going to be celebrating the 100th season. They're going to be honoring the 07 and 11 Super Bowl teams, and they're going to be giving away the first 25,000 fans at MetLife are getting a Tom Coughlin bobblehead. So,
That's
add that to your collection right there. Giants fans, come through, wear blue, support it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this was a lot of fun. Well, that's a wrap for our Week 6 Giants Hangout, brought to you by Crestron. For Russ Salzberg and Howard Cross, I'm Madelyn Burke. We'll see you next time.